that people might often see being used in new moon rituals might be things like fragrances or crystals or teas. I have none of those. I do have a few baby crystals with me though. Like I have this rose quartz, and labradorite. Well, it's upside down. Yeah, and I have a couple more that I'm wearing that were just given to me by either my grandma or my mom. This is rose quartz, jade, not too sure what these are, but yeah, that's all I have for crystals, and plus a few more tiny gemstones. And I don't normally use tea because I'm personally more of a coffee person, even though I try to avoid the more caffeinated ones. And also my entire household, my family doesn't really drink tea, so there's no tea in the pantry anyways. But I do have a lot of water, and for the new moon, I think water is really important. And music-wise, it really depends on whether I'm feeling like I want to meditate to some sounds or whether I just want to have the whole thing in complete silence, which is really nice. If I do go for music, I listen to this artist on Spotify called Miracle Tone. This is the artist. They mainly list mid to high frequency sounds and music, so it's good for meditating to or chilling out to. It's basically to calm you down and relax you while also raising your vibe, your frequency. But most importantly, the only thing that you or I would ever personally need is a journal or a piece of paper to write thoughts on. And I have two journals. I'm not gonna show the cover of this because it's all smudged. I drew on it a long time ago. But this is my regular journal where I write down like my diary stuff and like my thoughts and just everything that I want to reflect on. So yeah, I do use it for moon practices a lot. And this one is more of a manifestation journal, so things that I write in here are purely just things that I want to manifest. So they could be like affirmations or like whole scenarios that I would just write down in like vivid detail, and a lot of the things that I've written down have actually come true. But yeah, that's all the things that I need to prepare, and besides the journal you don't really need much else, and it just goes to show that you don't really need a lot of material fancy aesthetic things to pursue your own spiritual practice, which by the way is different from a religious practice, because spirituality is just about connecting to yourself and the universe around you, which is basically everything and everyone, and that's my personal belief. But yeah, everything that you would ever need for any spiritual practice is already inside you. All the tools and medicine, you already have it. I do like to light at least one candle for moon routines, and I read somewhere that lighting a candle on the night of a new moon, which is when the moon can't yet be seen, it signifies our desire to want to find the light even during the darkest of times. So I found that really beautiful. I answer different questions and prompts nearly every time I sit down to journal, but this time around I got these prompts from Alina Alive, and these were from her Plan With Me New Moon Journaling October episode. So the first prompt was, I am currently manifesting ... The second prompt is, the feelings these intentions evoke include... Thirdly, what's been working for me in terms of work/life balance? How can you become more gentle with yourself? What does being balanced look like to you? So besides all that, I also write a gratitude list normally, and also I write a bunch of repeated affirmations, and they all start with the two words I am. So I've learned that these are really effective for being programmed for reprogramming our subconscious mind and rewiring our neural networks, so our daily habits and thought patterns tend to align more and more with these repeated affirmations. There's a whole bunch of books on the psychology of all of it, and it's really interesting. But yeah, I've been using affirmations for a long time now, and it's like a life improvement tool, and I've personally found it really, really helpful and anchoring. So I can share some of my answers, and I did it in my manifestation journal. So to the first question, I'm currently manifesting more creativity and more time to create art, because with the busy school term, it's just been so hard for me to find time and energy to paint more or even to make more videos like this, which I really enjoy doing, and I want to do more of this. So yeah, and yeah, I haven't painted in a very long time, so I hope I can paint sometime soon. And the next thing I want to manifest is to do well in my studies. I'm actually so surprised that I'm writing this down, because for I guess the past 1 or 2 years I've been so not motivated at all in school, and I've always just been distracting myself with side projects and side creations. But yeah, now is tentatively my final year in university, and I'm back home and school's online and I'm around my parents, so I just have less distractions in general, so maybe that's why I feel more motivated to do well this time and actually focus on school and get decent grades. Yeah, and just end with like a good finish. I also want to manifest being more present, and this ties in with another one that I listed, which is contentment with being alone and doing less, and less comparison with other people. Basically they're related, because I just want to be more present instead of thinking like, oh, like if I'm not doing school, then like I feel like I should be doing something else, like I should be creating. And like if I go on social media, like on Instagram, because that's just the easiest thing to do when I'm not working, right? And I'll see all these other creators and people who are not only having fun, but they're also coming up with all these really cool projects and artwork, and it's just like I really wish that I could also create that amount of work, but then I can't because of school. So it's just not the healthiest if I'm always looking on social media and always comparing myself and comparing my productivity to other people. It's not really that fair, because on social media we only show other people the best sides of our lives, right? And we never show others like our hard times or what we're struggling with. So yeah, I should stop doing that. I should stop comparing. And I'm also manifesting making more time for regular meditations, because after the summer ended and things got busy, I just fell out of my regular meditation routine. So ideally I'd want to do it every day and be consistent with that. I am manifesting continuing discipline in body movement. Maybe a bit dramatic, but yeah, basically I've been quite happy this term with how much I've gotten more into exercise, and exercise that I like, because I don't like fast, intense workouts, but I've been more very consistent lately with my yoga and qigong. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. I hope I can continue. And besides a lot of other listed things here, which I don't really feel like sharing, I'm manifesting more good times with my family. What's been working for me in terms of work-life balance? Such a good question. I've been actually sleeping and getting up early. I'm so proud of myself. Like, oh, I used to have the worst sleep routine ever. But yeah, I lately have been sleeping at around 10 something p.m. and I woke up at 6 a.m. for 2 mornings in a row the other time, and I was so happy. And like I just love mornings, so I need to sleep early more consistently and get up early, because I love seeing the sunrise and just having that quiet time in the early mornings. Next, I wrote doing yoga, qigong, deep breathing, and stretches every day before or after work. And this is so important for me because when I'm working long hours, like I'm the type who's really bad at getting up and like moving about. Like when I'm sucked deep into doing something, like I'm really into it. Yeah, stretching my body really hardcore before or after work every day is really helpful for all the knots in my body. I also wrote being easy on myself when I don't have energy to do much else after a long day of school, which is basically what I talked about earlier, like removing the constant need to keep creating or doing something when I have free time. Next, how can you become more gentle with yourself? I wrote, and I underlined, gently, catching myself whenever I start to compare myself with others. Or should I say, my productivity, but same thing. So yeah, those were some of my answers, and today's October 17th, so technically yesterday was the new moon, but I didn't really get to do much at night just because I was really sucked into drawing something on Procreate. And also I had to sleep early because I had a midterm this morning at 6 a.m. Also, this is the new moon in Libra, hence all the questions earlier about balance. Yeah, I try not to take astrology things too heavily or let these things fully determine the course of my life. Even though I do find them really interesting, they're kind of like rough guidelines. So yeah, so just a little input about when I started doing these moon routines. I normally do them when it's a new moon and when it's the full moon, like a lot of people do. So I think I started in December or January, and every month after that I would do it quite consistently, either by myself or with a circle of other people, which would be really nice. Yeah, it's really nice and comforting to make time to slow down and either reflect on things or let go of things emotionally and symbolically if it's a full moon. And if it's a new moon, it feels really nice to plant seeds of intentions of how you want your life to unfold for the next month or so, and then subconsciously you would also, well, I would also absorb that, and then my actions would kind of play out according to these subconscious absorptions. So yeah, that is ideally how, for me, manifestations made during new moons would come true. But of course, manifestations can be made at any time. I just think the moon phases are a good way to kind of keep me in check, and as a reminder, be like, hey, hello, today's the day to slow down and reflect. Or yeah, I don't doubt that the moon has an equally powerful effect no matter where you are on the planet, but in Vancouver it was always just so huge compared to the moon in the city here in Kuala Lumpur. I mean, maybe here is a little more polluted, so that makes sense. But yeah, in Vancouver, its presence was just really something else. Like, I'm not even joking, its presence there is just unreal. It's so huge and it shines so freaking bright, and like when I'm walking the streets at night, or when I'm staring at it from my window in my room, I could stare at it for the longest time, and something about it will always just be so comforting yet so powerful. Yeah, and I was quite blessed because the previous house that I lived in, sometimes the moon, I had a skylight and a pretty big window, so like sometimes when the moon was really bright, like it would literally shine onto my bed and sometimes onto my face as I'm about to go to sleep. So yeah, like it was just so magical. I always have this saying that I made up myself. I always remind myself that like if the moon can raise tides, so can it raise me, because it just powerfully literally controls the movement of like bodies of water, and I'm made of 70% water inside, so imagine the effects that it could have on me. Also, fun fact, when I first experienced long cold winters in Vancouver, I used to hate the dark and I hated when the sun would set, but yeah, over the years, like as I learned more about the moon, it pretty much made me start loving the night as much as the day. In the past, I used to do a lot of more complex moon rituals by myself and also with other people. Like I remember in some circles we would write things down, like on the new moon we would write our intentions down, and then on the pieces of paper that we wrote them down we would bury them in the earth, so it's kind of signifying that we're planting these seeds to grow for the following month. So yeah, that would be really cool. But lately I've been liking keeping it more simple. As I told you, I don't have any teas or fragrances and not even like many crystals, but yeah, just like I guess just meditating and maybe a moon yoga and reflecting in my journal. Yeah, those are the things that I like to do. It's kind of like I view it as a precious and sacred time to connect with myself and with the universe, but also at the same time I take it lightly. It's hard to describe, kind of like I can be quite detached to it, or detached from the things that I write out or do during the routines, because there's so many examples in my life where I'm kind of casually manifesting something and I'll think things like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this and this happened, and it's in such a carefree way that I manifest these things, and those casual manifestations are always the ones that immediately pop up, like the next day, like it would happen, it would be right in front of my eyes and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. But yeah, basically for me, I find that the more detached, the less attached I am to these things that I desire, the quicker I receive them, because in my understanding and learning, there's less resistance when I'm less desperate for something that I want. So I'm just more open to receiving things that come to me easily. Oh, I nearly forgot. Whenever I write down things that I'm affirming or manifesting, I always integrate some element of gratitude into it. So either before or after that, I would write like a gratitude list, because when it comes to manifestation, in my personal experience, gratitude is like the greatest, most effective tool to manifest anything, because you're already in that state, that natural state of abundance, and the more abundant you feel, the more abundant you will be, and the more abundance you will attract. So yeah. Anyways, I hope this was interesting. I've been wanting to film this kind of more esoteric or like spiritual kind of video for a while now. I'm not really sure how people will receive it, but yeah, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment below if you want. But yeah, happy new moon. Good night.